Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, this is the Spit Sports Show. Now, there's been a lot of talk leading up to this Super Bowl about if the Chiefs win, how they compare to some of the greatest dynasties in NFL history, and most specifically, the Patriots. They're comparing it between 2019 and right now, 2023, and the Patriots Dynasty from 2014 to 2018. And in that context, rightfully so. I totally understand that. Same amount of years between those two. They have the same division titles, same conference championship appearance, dang near the same amount of regular season wins, same amount of Super Bowl appearances, Super Bowl wins. I totally understand that. And that comparison for those 5 years between both teams is fair. But the Kansas City Chiefs, in terms of the greatest dynasty of all time, can never, ever live up to what the New England Patriots did for their 20 years of dominance. And let me explain why. So the Chiefs are so fascinating because the fact is the Chiefs came into the league with arguably, in my opinion, the best quarterback I've ever seen right after the Patriots dynasty ended with the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. And I'm going to talk about that difference between best and greatest a little later in the video. But I think what that's done is it's made people, football fans, a bit fatigued of seeing dynasties in the AFC. Because realistically, these last 20 years, if you don't have Mahomes, Brady, or Manning on your team, it's going to be tough for you to consistently make it to Super Bowls. But I think the issue that the Chiefs have compared to the Patriots is one that is under discussed because it's a bit of an uncomfortable conversation because it's not anybody's fault necessarily. It's just how it is. So the three most important people, in the Patriots dynasty were Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and Rob Gronkowski, right? Some people would say Robert Kraft, the owner, but realistically, they used Mr. Kraft for his checkbook. And the fact that he was able to lure some free agents because he was such a hands-off owner and really let the Patriots be the Patriots. So for the first 3 Super Bowls, it was mostly Bill's defense with Tom not making any mistakes. We understand that. But for the last 3, and even the one in Tampa Bay, it was Tom Brady being great with Rob Gronkowski as his main running mate. Big third downs. We always knew who he was going to look to. Edelman was great too. So was Amendola. I think Chris Hogan was super underrated. Wes Welker. But Rob Gronkowski was that guy. Maybe the greatest tight end ever. And the reason the Chiefs get compared to them so much is because it's not just because of how great they are and how dominant they've been since the Patriots dynasty sort of collapsed. They also have pretty much an identical formula. They have the best quarterback of maybe ever. They have the best tight end maybe ever, and the best coach on his side of the ball of his generation. The way Andy Reid's been able to take 3 different squads to prosperity, I include the Packers in his tenure because he was such a big part of that offense. Philly, obviously, and now the Chiefs. It's just so impressive, and it's a legacy on offense that is probably only taught by Belichick on defense and maybe Walsh on offense. But the problem that the Chiefs have is that 3-man core, which everyone knows is their 3-man core, the timeline is just so different than what the Patriots have. So Brady and Belichick literally came in together. Bill was 47 years old when he got hired, and Gronk got drafted after the Patriots dynasty had already been established. The shelf life on tight ends isn't very long. Now, Kelsey has been shattering the mold, but Brady was super fortunate that Gronk came in just as he was entering his prime. Not the years of him just being a game manager, him being Tom Brady. He came in just as he was starting to come into his own there. Andy Reid's first coaching job was in 1999, and he is currently 65 years old. Now, I'm no doctor. I am no health expert. I can't predict how long someone's going to coach or what's going on, but we know Andy Reid likes his cheeseburgers. Let's just put it that way. And how much longer do we think he's going to coach for? I could make guesses, but I don't know. Listen, he got Mahomes when he was 59 years old. That's 12 years older than when Belichick got Tom Brady. So add to that, the guy who made Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, the third and obviously one of the most crucial parts of this core. Travis Kelsey is older than Rob Gronkowski is, guys. He is 34 Gronk is 34 and a couple months less. How many years left does he have at this amazing playoff production level? It can't be that many. So the Chiefs have Mahomes locked up for the next 9 years, and they have a really great GM in Brett Veach. I think he's unbelievable at what he does. But in the history of sports, I can't think of a dynasty that was really able to persevere and thrive after the head coach was gone. So George Seifert, he won one with Joe Montana after Bill Walsh left and one with Steve Young. But 2 Super Bowls in 6 years, that doesn't really constitute as a dynasty. And also add on to that, he had the equivalent of his Travis Kelce on both of those teams in his prime in Jerry Rice. He's better than Travis Kelce, actually, but the equivalent in the dynasties. You know what I mean? He still had that piece. It was 2 completely different cores and 2 Super Bowls in 6 years. That's not a dynasty. The Celtics, they won a few without Red Auerbach, their original coach in the Bill Russell years, but it was such a unique situation because Auerbach stepped down and Bill Russell became a player coach. And we've obviously never seen that again, so it's tough to kind of put that into context. So let's say Andy Reid coaches for another 5 years, which I think is more than generous. That would be, he would be the same age as the oldest coach ever, George Halas, who was 72 when he coached his last game. Belichick's getting up there now too. So Kelce probably has another 2 years maybe left as a dominant tight end, dominant playoff performer. Even this year, his regular season production dipped, and this is obviously by his standards. He was still a top 3 tight end in just about everything, but he was not the clear-cut leader in yards, touchdowns like he always is. His regular season production has dipped. Now, as you're older, it's tougher to string those games together. It really is. Like Shannon Sharp's talked about this, who's another tight end. He could give you 100 yards every couple of games, but the consistency just wasn't there. But in the playoffs, obviously, everything turns up a notch, and the greats become the greats, and the goods become the goods. And Travis Kelce is great, so he's obviously going to be fantastic in the playoffs. But his stats have been slipping. Now, Mahomes is great, so it might not matter. He might just be so far and above and beyond every other athlete ever that the Chiefs just ring off another 5 of these and he wins 8 and they become the greatest dynasty ever just based off of him alone. But there's no precedent for it in sports. There's no precedent to having 1 out of 3 parts of your core remaining on your team and still maintaining the same course of a dynasty. What made the Patriots so great and what made them so legendary is the length that they dominated with that core. They, like, even in the spell where they had 10 years of no Super Bowls between 04 and 14, they still made it to 5 NFC championship games and went to 2 Super Bowls. They were still the cream of the crop in the AFC, even during the time that they weren't winning. Now, will the Chiefs still be that after Kelce and Reid leave? Maybe, but I don't know. Like, the question that I think the Chiefs need to start asking is who's coming in after Andy Reid retires? And I know that seems like it might be a little premature, but when you have a player like Mahomes, you need everything to be perfect to get the most out of him because you're not going to hit the lottery on getting the best quarterback ever. Maybe ever again. It's once in a lifetime. It really is. So the Chiefs dynasty might be better than the Patriots dynasty. But the Patriots dynasty is greater. And what I mean by that is when I say the best player of all time at something, I mean at his very peak. If I'm to take him in his best year, this goes for basketball players too. His best year ever. Who do you want? 1 game for your life. What player do you want quarterbacking your team? Best. Who at their peak was the best player. Greatest is more accomplishments. What you've done throughout your career. How many Super Bowls have you won? How many first team All-Pros? How many Pro Bowls? What have you accomplished? That constitutes greatest in my book. Now, obviously, your best years have to be pretty freaking good, but best and greatest to me are 2 very different things. Chiefs might be the best dynasty ever. If they win this one, they almost assuredly are, in my opinion, because their road to dominance was just so... It switched between offense and defense so quickly. Like, it started off with Mahomes with the most explosive offense and Tyreek Hill and throwing the ball a million yards down the field. But now it's shifted to the Chiefs have the best defense in football, and they're winning games based on Mahomes not making mistakes and being smart. They might be the best, but the Patriots' lineage of 20 years of just football perfection, the Chiefs can't be greater than that, especially with where Mahomes and Kelsey are at in their timelines. This isn't to discredit the Chiefs at all. I think, like I said, Mahomes is unbelievable. Kelsey's greatest of all time. Reed's up there. But they can't match the greatness of the Patriots dynasty no matter how well they do. It's not possible. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. As always, support on the show has been unbelievable recently, so let's keep it up. Be sure to subscribe. I don't ask for that very often, but we've been gaining a lot of subscribers these past couple weeks, and I want to keep the train going. I think we just hit 126 the other day, which is huge. First video to hit like 2,500 views. Big things are happening on this channel, so if you want to be a part of it, click that subscribe button down below, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.